Alrighty. I'm just gonna turn the volume down a bit. How's the volume, everybody? Just put my chat over here. Yeah, is my mic okay compared to the audio? I always gotta check. For some reason, it always seems like it's different than my last stream. So, music is okay compared to my voice. Okay, well, just let me, okay, I'm good. Thank you, Mandy. Always appreciate you being here, truly. Cool, so welcome everybody to the sobriety portion of my stream. This is where I dive into my own sobriety journey. I answer questions that people have asked in chat or before. And yeah, I just talk about keep the dialogue open about mental health and addiction and my struggles and successes with all of that. I didn't get any questions for this stream. I was getting them at a pretty steady clip, but I did find I was just browsing the internet on sobriety, and I looked up some questions to ask yourself daily in addiction treatment. So I wanted to go through a couple of those, and you guys feel free, please ask questions in the chat if you have any questions at all. I'd love to answer them. But I'll go through a couple. There's 10 questions. I'm not going to do them all because that would take up the entire stream, but I'll do like 3, and maybe I'll do some more on the next one. So the first, here are 10 questions to ask yourself. I'll read the little blurb. Have you been properly reflecting on all that you have done in the addiction treatment process? Treatment for drugs or alcohol is marked by many new lessons because addiction recovery is all about teaching yourself a new way to live. It is so important to constantly check in with yourself, record your accomplishments, and have some insight about things that you might need to work on. All of these things will make for a life-changing experience in overcoming your addiction. So here are some questions that you should ask yourself daily if you are recovering from an addiction. Number 1, what did I do to strengthen my recovery today? It could be anything. It could be if you go to like an Alcoholics Anonymous or a 12-step meeting. If you made a new friend that is sober as well, and you connected with them and talked about your experiences. If you shared your experience openly and honestly with someone. For me, that was the biggest one, is sharing my experiences with other people was by far the biggest and best way for me to strengthen my recovery. Opening that dialogue and sharing it, just like I'm doing on this stream, lets me know that there's other people going through the same struggles, and lets other people know that there are other people going through those same struggles. It's such a great connective thing to do. And that's a really good question to ask yourself every day you're going through recovery, is just what did you do today to make your recovery better, to strengthen your resolve, to make yourself, your mindset move forward. So that's a really good one. Second question, what problem behaviors did I exhibit today? And these would be good to write down as well. If you have a journal, I have a diary. I haven't been writing in it since we moved. I just unpacked it the other day, so I'm really excited to get back into writing through it. But when I was going through my recovery, I wrote in the journal every single day about what was going on in my life, how I was feeling, things I was thankful for. It's so important. So if there's any problem behaviors you exhibited during the day, whether you were closed off, you engaged in negative self-talk. So if, for me, I'm quite harsh on myself internally, and that can affect your motivation to continue on a path of recovery. So if you engaged in negative self-talk, if you glorified drugs or alcohol, which was like my entire Instagram stream for a long time, so looking at that is definitely a problem behavior. If you avoided talking about your problems, if you actually drank or did something that negatively affected your recovery, any negative behavior that hurts you or your recovery is part of this question. So, question number 3, what could I improve from today in my recovery? So this sort of ties into the second question. If you engaged in any sort of negative self-talk or anything that I just listed, if you engaged in any of those problem behaviors, or there's anything that you think you could do better, whether it's sharing more, going to another a 12-step meeting, forging that bond even further with that friend. If it's scary to make friends and talk about recovery together, because it feels like it's this super weird club almost, that I sort of feel it's almost the same feeling as someone when they say they're a born again Christian have. I'm not a religious person, and I have, nothing against people who are religious. I think religion can teach a lot of great things in life, but I also don't think that you need religion to learn those things. But however you get to those points, I think that's the important part. And as long as you're not pushing those things on other people. But I attribute the same way I felt about sobriety to being like a born again Christian sort of. I just felt like I was just like new person, and I wanted to share it with the world. And I think that's such an important thing to do, is to share your experiences and improve upon that. Always making new, if you have friends, reach out and make sure that those bonds of meeting and with other sober people, make sure you have those people. Because if you are ever having a tough day, and you think you're going to drink again or anything like that, reach out to those people and they will have your back. Because that's such an important thing to do, is to just ensure that if you are ever feeling like you're drinking, or you want to drink, take a step back. Take 10 seconds and think about it. Message a friend, message a loved one, and say, hey, I'm thinking about wanting to drink, and have someone talk you through that issue. And honestly, if you take those 10 seconds rather than just taking a shot or having a beer, you'll never do it. Because that's what addiction is. It's your brain, it's your body acting before your brain can logically think that out, and then that's when you get back into that cycle. If you're sitting in a bar and someone buys you a shot and you're 2 weeks off of drinking and you really don't want to, and everyone's like, oh, come on, just do it. That's your brain shutting off. You're just being like, nah, okay, fuck it, I'm just gonna do it. But if you give it that time and you say, hey guys, just give me a sec, I just want to go outside and take a breather or something, people will think you're weird. But at the same time, who cares? And if that's the 10 seconds you need to strengthen your resolve, so important. There was many times when I wished that I had a stronger resolve. But again, if you take those, a quote that I actually learned from the app I used, from that I Am Sober app that I used initially in my recovery process, it says, if you ever think about starting to drink again, remember why you stopped in the first place. And that's so true. If you ever are thinking about taking a drink, think about all the times that got you to the point where you wanted to stop. And you will have that process. You'll go through that process. You'll go through all those tough days and the rock bottoms, not rock bottoms and wrestling moves, rock bottoms, your lowest point. Sorry. You'll go through all of that in your head. And if you can just take that time to think about all of the reasons that got you to this point in this decision of where you're even having this mental battle, you will not drink, because there's no point. That's sort of the same thing for me now. Is I think I've answered the question on stream before, is would you ever drink again? And for me now, there's so much built up and so much pride I take in my sobriety, that if I was to ever drink again, I feel like I'd be letting myself down. And this streak of 4 years that I've had, almost 4 years, it's in April, would just be gone. And I don't think having a beer just to say I can have a beer, I feel like I could have a beer without any issues. I don't think it would be worth it at this point. Maybe that will change. I always believe that things can change and mindsets and your heart can change, but I don't think there would be any reason for me to do that, because every time I think, would that be something I want to do, I think about all the reasons I stopped and how much better my life has been since I've got sober. So yeah, those are the 3 questions that I want to answer today about treatment. So there's 10 questions to ask yourself daily in addiction treatment. I'll continue to go through that list as we go on in the streams. So I think this will be the last day of my sobriety talk about my sobriety. So I will finish talking about my sobriety, and then I will talk about the future and what to expect from this portion of my stream in the future. So we left off last session, last stream, and we were talking about the time that I knew I made it as being on my sober journey, and that was being the MC at one of my best friend Steve's weddings. My best friend Steve's wedding. And I did that completely sober and came out of it unscathed, and I was so proud of myself. We talked about me winning the Steve Nash success story, and that was just another reaffirmation or an affirmation of that I was on the right path and everything was going so well. And then I think we were going to dive into, I think on the last stream we also talked about me being at Republic and sort of reaching that breaking point of me thinking, I don't want to do this anymore. And that's where I'll begin. For me, it was just a culmination of so many things. You can become jaded in the bartending industry pretty, not fast, but like there's a lot of passion and fun and love to be had. But if you get sick of the job, it can, drop like a rock, and you just get every customer that comes in, you know exactly what that customer is going to order. You know exactly all the shit they're going to pull, and you still have to serve them because they're paying you, and sometimes they don't even tip you. And again, those people as well. And it just every shift starts to look the same. By the end of me working at Republic, I could look at someone and the way they approached the bar and, what they were wearing and everything. And I could say, you're going to have a vodka soda. You're going to have a vodka cran. You're going to have a big round of shots. You're not going to tip me. You're probably going to try and round in your bill. And that's just from seeing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I stayed passionate about that for so long. But once I became sober, I just had such a different perspective on it, and it wasn't as exciting as it used to be. It was just kind of like it bummed me out seeing people spend all of this money on booze that they largely didn't have. Drinking is an expensive hobby for not a lot of benefit. If you spent $50 to $100 to $200, which is probably an average night out of drinking, on something else like a new video game, or for me, or new comic books, or a new book, or a new set of kitchen tools, or some new workout gear, you would have a lot of stuff because you're consistently spending that money on drinking. And so I just got I was almost like a double life. Outside of my job, I was just living this healthy, crazy life, and so much success in saving money and working out and becoming fit and positive mindset, that when I went to work, I felt like it was so counter to what I really, really believed in at the time. And I, to this day, I'm not a person to push sobriety on anyone. If you're interested in trying it, I will more than happily support you. But if you're not, I would never give anyone shit for living the way they want to live. I think the majority of the world drinks, and a lot of people drink responsibly. A lot of people don't as well. But that's not my part. My part is to share my experiences. So I just felt frustrated that I was working in an environment that kind of went what I was so strongly believed in at the time. So I started thinking about other opportunities, what to do. And a coworker actually was thinking about leaving as well, and she got a job opportunity at a hotel at the Westin Bayshore, and it was working in their bar and lounge. So I looked into it, and I introduced myself to her contact, and I looked into the job, and as I was looking into it, I was just like, I just don't know if I want to work in, I don't know if I want to work in food and beverage anymore. I don't know if I want to work in hospitality still. And that's when it kind of hit me. I was like, maybe I should do something else. I knew I wanted to leave nightclubs. And at that moment, it kind of dawned on me. I was like, I don't have to do food and beverage. I could do something else. There's a lot more to hospitality than just food and beverage, which is what I had done my entire career in bartending. So I started looking at applying as a front desk agent. I knew I would have to take a pay cut. Obviously, with any job where you have zero experience other than like transferable customer service skills, you're going to have to take a pay cut, because what you make at a nightclub is vastly more in most cases than what you would make at an entry-level position. Like, I couldn't just go to being a manager or an AGM of another company without working my way up in a new field of expertise, like working in hotels. So I applied as a front desk agent. I was looking around. There was no opportunities for that at the Westin Bayshore. And my contact at the Westin Bayshore, I said, I don't think I want to go into food and beverage anymore, but I think I'm going to apply at this new hotel. And it was the Park Vancouver. So there's two hotels in the Park Vancouver. There's the JW Marriott as well as the Douglas. And so he was nice enough that he actually coached me through the interviews. One of the interesting things about the bartending and nightclub industry is, like, I don't think I ever did an interview or dropped off a resume. I think maybe initially when I first got hired at the warehouse, I gave them my resume, but that was just like, so they had it. You know what I mean? Getting new jobs in the bartending and nightlife industry, it's literally who you know. Are you good enough friends with them? Have they seen you work? And you can just bounce from place to place to place with like minimal interviews or resume exchanging, which is weird, because if you go out into other industries, basically every industry, there is an interview process. The interview process for hotels is very intense. So I really appreciate my contact at the Westin Bayshore for help coaching me through what to expect in those interviews. There was a position as a guest services agent, a GSA, at the JW Marriott. I didn't know which hotel to choose, so I chose the JW Marriott because it was the bigger hotel. It had Marriott in the name. I wasn't sure what the difference was between the Douglas and the JW, but I was like, I'll go with what I know. So I applied. I got a call. You have to send in a resume, a cover letter. You have to do a big quiz. It's like a 50-question quiz. And then you have to wait. And if they give you a call back, then you can go in. Thankfully, I got a call back. I went into the interview. I remember I was wearing a white button-up shirt, but the top two buttons were undone, so it was undone to about here. I had my sleeves rolled up, so tattoos showing. I was wearing like a bright maroon purple pair of pants and then dress shoes. And for me, I thought I looked great. And that was my version of looking professional, just because like that's what I had worn so long in nightclubs, and I thought I looked good, and I was still like wearing the right stuff, but like walking in, I definitely. And after I finish this story, you'll see why I was definitely not dressed for the occasion. So I went in, but I'm confident in speaking, and I was prepared for the interviews. I learned about the hotel. I went onto their website and learned how many rooms each hotel has, what Marriott's core principles are, the history of the company. I really, really put my best foot forward in this. And none of that really got brought up in the interview, but how the interview happens, Cassie was who I interviewed with, and Cassie to this day was one of the best bosses I've ever had. She was director of front office at the JW Marriott. Cassie, if you're ever watching this, I still truly, I still think of you as a friend. She's overseas right now, actually as head of housekeeping in another hotel on a new adventure. So yeah, Cassie, thank you so much. So I interviewed with Cassie, and how hotel interviews go is you start talking about, or they ask you a question. So name an experience of name a time you had a stressful experience and how you got through it. So I'll ask questions like these, or name a time you had a negative experience with a coworker and what was the result. And the way you're supposed to answer these questions is called STAR. So situation, I believe, I don't even remember at this point, situation, task, action, and resolution. So you basically have to say what the situation was, give all the details of the background, what the task was or what you have to do, what you had to action, what action you took, and then what the resolution was. And it was so, I think I did a really good job in the interview. But again, hotels, there's a lot going on every day, and it takes them for a while to get back. So I waited and I waited. It took a long time for them to get back to me eventually. And that was when I was, at that time at Republic. Troy, I mentioned him a couple times on stream. He was actually trying to, they were getting to the point where he wanted to be, overseeing both nightclubs as more of like a regional manager type deal, and he was asking me to move into this general manager position of Republic. And so I was trying to, I didn't know if the hotel job was going to work out because I didn't know if I would cut it. And Troy was asking me to be the GM, so I said I need to think about it, and I was trying to respectfully hold off on making that decision. I would be more than happy to take the GM position if this hotel thing didn't work out, but I didn't know what to do. So I was waiting and waiting, and I felt that the anxiety of that just got to me. Writing in a journal helped a lot, listening to nice music, going for walks, all of that. Eventually I got a call, and I went back and did an HR interview. So if you get a call back to do an HR interview, that usually means you've made the job. So I interviewed with, her name is Priya, she's in HR, and it went well again. Waited again. I think this was about a month now. And Cassie gave me a call back and said, she said, you did a really good job in the interviews, but we think you would be a better fit at the Douglas. Would you mind re-interviewing for the Douglas rather than the JW? And I was like, of course, like if you think I'd be a good fit, then I would love to re-interview. And she said, okay, we'll get something set up. Someone will call you within the day. I took like another week to get a call, and then I had to re-interview again, same sort of thing, at the Douglas with a different front office manager named Nicole, who was the front office manager of Douglas at the time. And so I had to interview again, wait again. And at this time it was just driving me insane. And, Troy wanted me to make a decision on the nightclub. And so I was just really, really, really trying to see if I got this job. Going back and reading my diary, back then, it was just like trying to psych myself up and be like, it's okay, just push through it. I'll get it. Oh, I'm going to go to the nightclub. Now I'm going to stay with the hotel. Like I couldn't decide. So I, finally got a call back. So I had already done the HR interview, so that was over. So the last interview you have to do for a hotel is I had to meet the hotel manager, and his name was Mike Trescott. He's actually moved on. He's a regional manager for Eastern Canada, I believe. Or no, Western Canada, but he lives in Eastern Canada now. Another amazing mentor. And so I interviewed with him. At this point, when I didn't know what Cassie meant when she said we'd think you'd be a better fit at the Douglas, but having been hired and talked to her at that point, it was because of the way I dressed and how I articulated myself and my personality. The JW was very strict. When you check people in, there's a list of things you have to say. It's a very, people go to JW Marriott's around the world because they know what they're going to get. That's where people go because it's a certain level of luxury and expectation. Whereas the Douglas is more of a boutique hotel. So, we don't wear name tags because we have to introduce ourselves. There's no script of what we have to go through, and we're checking people, and you just sort of cater to their needs, and it's a bit more of a personalized experience. And so what I was wearing to the interview that day, it's funny. She said she went in the back, and one of the bellmen actually said, "Oh, he looks like he should be working at the Douglas because of everything I was wearing." And it's fitting that I ended up working at the Douglas. So I interviewed with Mike Trescott, and I thought it went really well. We talked a lot. I told him my intentions. My intentions was to move into this industry and move up. And, I'm not doing this as just a side job. I wanted to do it because it was a job that I wanted. I told him about my sobriety. I was very open with it, and I think he respected that. And I said, this is a big move for me, and I want to do it, and I want to do it well. So I thought I did well. He said he would let me know by Friday. I think it was Wednesday at the time. I called my mom right after the interview. I was like, I think I did so good. Like, I think it went really well. He said he's going to let me know by Friday. I texted him after the fact. I said, hey, I'm really looking forward to hearing back from you. He said, no problem. And then I looked down, and my fly was undone, like wide open, the entire interview. And we were sitting in like sort of like a casual setting at the restaurant. So it wasn't like under a desk or anything. And I told my mom, I was like, Mom, my fly was open this entire freaking interview. And she's like, oh my God. I was like, would you not hire someone if you were interviewing them and they had their fly done? She was like, I mean, you should have that checked, like attention to detail, awful. So I was so stressed, and honest answer from my mom, and I was like, oh my God, maybe I'm not going to get it. And sure enough, I never got a call on Friday. I never got that call on Friday. So I was like, okay, I'll wait, I'll follow up. I followed up, still no answer. And then eventually I gave up, and I didn't hear from her for a couple of weeks. And I was like, I guess I didn't get it. I don't know. Like, they haven't called me back to confirm or deny. And usually they say if they're not going to go with you at that point in the interview process. And then this is sort of where I'll leave off the story for tonight. But I was working out at the gym. I remember it so clearly. I was doing shoulder press machine at the Steve Nash I used to work out at Howe and Davie. And I got a call from someone named Nav, and she works in HR. She still does. She's amazing. And she said, hey, like, this is Nav, and we're just curious as to, like, why, you know, we sent you a hiring package. Did you ever get it? Or we're just wondering why you didn't respond. And I was like, you can't be serious. And she was like, yeah, you know, we wanted to hire you, and we're just wondering, do you not want the job anymore? Or like, what's going on? And I was like, there's no way you sent me an email. You know, I had anxiety about going into Costco or places with bad reception because I was going to miss your call. So there's no way you sent me an email. I checked all of the Gmail folders, which most of it is junk, every single day. There's no way. And she's like, oh, well, okay, well, yeah, do you want me to resend it? Maybe we don't have the right email. I was like, so you're saying I have the job? She's like, yeah, if you want it. I was like, oh my God. Could you imagine if I didn't get the job because I missed that call, or if it was because of the miscommunication in email, and then they just would have moved on. And so much relief went through me, and I finally, they had the wrong email. I finally got the email. I signed the package, and I got hired in the hotel industry. And that was such a big win for me, because I feel like that was me letting go of my last part of what had got me into such a deep, dark pit of alcoholism. And I just felt so good. I had to have that unfortunate talk with Troy about not working at Republic anymore, but of course, naturally, like, he was so supportive. And same thing with Paul. Paul is one of the owners as well, and Akio. They were all amazing and super supportive of my decision. Sad to see me go, but like, I was so excited, and it was such a big win. And that was just like, okay, I'm on this new path, and yeah, I think there's still a little bit more to talk about in my sobriety journey. So I think I'm going to do maybe one or two more. But what to expect in the future after my sobriety journey is done. I'm going to start interviewing people. So basically the same story that I've told about to you guys. They're going to be coming on stream and talking about their experiences. I'll ask them questions. They can ask me questions, and we'll just get more people to talk about their sobriety and open it up. So I'm very, very excited for that. After I'm done talking about my journey, I think I may take like a week break on the sobriety talks just to get everything ready. I'm not sure. If I don't have to, then I won't. Yeah, and we're just going to move forward with that and talking to people, not just about sobriety. They may have a different addiction, or may just be someone who's talking about mental health. Yeah, so if that's you and you're seeing this stream and you want to participate and join me for a chat on stream, please let me know, because I have a couple people lined up already. But yeah, let me know. The more the merrier, and the more we can share this with the world, and you bring your contacts into watching this and supporting the stream and supporting this chat about addiction and recovery and positivity, the better. So that is... Yeah. Does anyone have any questions about anything that I talked about? Any other questions about sobriety? Anything at all? Yeah. You feel free to ask anything. That was a good talk. That made me feel good talking about that hotel stuff again. I'm just waiting to see any comments come in. And if not, that's okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah, no worries. Doesn't look like there's any questions for tonight. Another thing, on March 15th, I will be having a special stream on Monday. I am doing a podcast. Akio, who I just mentioned, who is one of the owners of Republic and Safe and Sound, the company owns Republic and bar none. He has a podcast with a friend, Nolan Prasad. And so they have a podcast called the PNC Podcast. So I will be live streaming me going on their podcast on Monday, March 15th to talk about same stuff, sobriety and my journey, and they're going to be asking me questions. So if you want to, I'd really appreciate your support on that stream. I will be talking continuously about it as we get closer to the date. Check out all my social media, and I will let you guys know. If anyone doesn't have any questions, and I'm going to sign off for the night. I got to go to work in a couple hours. Thanks everybody for sticking around. I really appreciate it. I know we're in such a good point in my sobriety journey now. It's just all positive things. I was going to end tonight, but I just, feeling how telling these stories made me feel, I want to share that positivity with you guys. And there's so much more positivity to talk about. Moving out of apartments, moving into a new apartment, meeting Sarah, moving up in my position at the hotel and just updating on how that whole process went. I actually went back to work at Republic for a little while as well. And everything just sort of coming full circle. So thanks everybody. I look forward to next stream. It'll be on Friday and we'll be playing more World of Warcraft and then my sobriety talk shortly after. Be happy. Love you guys. Have a good night.